Hello and welcome to another episode of Nitecore Store's flashlight lore. Today we will be going over the science behind long throw LED flashlights as well as do a countdown of Nitecore's best at going the distance. This list will include the latest and greatest in long throw flashlights, hot off the press, which we have affectionately dubbed the out of our leagues. That's a displacement joke. And this list will also include those that aim to reach new heights but have been around the block, which we refer to as reach-arounds. If you've spent any time looking at modern LED flashlights, you have probably seen the terms such as flood, spill, or throw used to describe the beam profile of the flashlight. Flood beams, as the name implies, calls down upon the wrath of Zeus and the torrents of rain cascade upon the world. Flood beams tend to have a wider, that's body shaming, let me rephrase. Flood beams tend to have a geometrically obtuse beam angle with a more even distribution of light. Conversely, long throw flashlights have a beam that is focused by concentrating the density of light near the center, which leads to the distinct hotspot and spill along the edges. So, what makes a flashlight throw? The main factor lies in reflector design. On its own, an LED will emit light in all directions except backwards because it does not want to shed a light on its shameful past like most politicians' sons, but mostly because LEDs are designed this way. Thus, if you want to create a true beam of light that can be directed like a flashlight, you will need something that can collimate your light source. Collimate, or just collimate, is what an Australian might tell his friend who is too bashful to dial the number of the girl he likes. Collimate is the term used to describe the process of what happens inside the reflector of your flashlight. It is derived from the Latin prefix col, as in together or with, like in collage or collect, and linea, which means line. When you put it all together, in regards to flashlights, it means to make rays of light or particles accurately parallel. This brings us neatly to the three major design aspects of reflectors that will have the greatest impact on the flashlight's ability to get you that sweet, sweet Henry David Thoreau. Shape. Arguably, the most important aspect is the shape. Let us begin by examining the reflectors in our staple long throw flashlights, the Nitecore New P30 and Nitecore MH40 GTR. The casual observer might describe this shape as parabolic or a parabola. However, those are restricted to 2 dimensions. When operating in 3 dimensions, this shape is called a paraboloid, and the adjective form paraboloidal, and this is why no one responds to my text. Size. Another factor that controls how much distance a flashlight can throw is the overall size of the reflector. This is because not all light that emanates from the LED will bounce off the reflector. Remember, since the LED radiates evenly in every direction, some light will make it past the reflector and come straight out of the flashlight without collimating. This is what leads to the spill along the edge of the hotspot. However, as you increase the size of the reflector, the more likely more light will be reflected. Texture. Long throw flashlights will tend to have the smoothest and cleanest surface finishes on the reflector. This is a natural consequence of the paraboloidal shape, which is curved, and aiming to improve the surface finish will increase the reflector's ability to collimate incoming light efficiently. And now for a brief historical footnote. The first person to be attributed with proving the focal property of the parabola is Greek mathematician Diocles in the 3rd century BCE. Now for the interesting bit. Parabolic reflectors were the subject for arguably the first ever instance of fake news. 5th century geometer Antimaeus of Tralles wrote about how Archimedes used a heat ray to burn Roman ships from afar like a 2nd century Death Star during the siege of Syracuse, where he directed the power of the sun using multiple polished mirrors of copper and brass. The Romans famously countered this tactic by chanting in unison, Ego rober et vos excluten, qui dicis resilit de me et hareente. Long throw flashlights are good for one and one reason only, cool factor and sweet, sweet beam shots for social media. Okay, 2 reasons. Counting is difficult. No, counting is easy. I often speak before I think. It's the same reason auto manufacturers advertise horsepower and gun manufacturers advertise the pew per second. It's so that my numbers are bigger than the other guy's numbers. But here is the boring list of real reasons why you might need a long throw flashlight. Search and rescue. If the things that were lost were right in front of you and easy to find, we would not need search and rescue teams. Observation. Are you a part of the evil landowning gentry that I keep hearing about? Well, you are in luck. Whether it is a farm or just a large backyard, with a long throw flashlight you can observe that rustle in the brush from a safe distance. Hunting. Animals tend to not like it whenever we get too close, especially when we are trying to kill them. I mean, it's their fault for being so delicious. Disney lied to us, and no matter how well you sing in the woods, they do not gather along and join in on the chorus. Emergency signaling. This is thematically the functional opposite of search and rescue. Are you lost? If the answer is yes, then there is no better way of getting attention than being attractive. But if that does not work, having a powerful pillar of light to help guide rescuers to you will often be useful. That concludes this episode of Nitecore Store's flashlight lore about long throw LED flashlights. Stay tuned for the top 9 Nitecore long throw flashlights video, which will be coming out later this week. All the flashlights on that list start at over 400 yards of throw. You guessed it, a completely arbitrary cutoff. If you have enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the Nitecore Store YouTube channel. If you have any suggestions for upcoming topics, please leave a comment below. And thank you.